This is a story about the haunted possession. Bought a bamboo rocking chair at a yard sale in Japan. Before we start, please hit like and subscribe for more stories like this. In the spring of 1933, Kenji and Aiko Nakamura arrived in a small rural town in Japan with one suitcase, two teaching certificates, and barely enough money to begin their married life. They had just graduated from college as teachers, and the village school needed them badly. The town welcomed them with rice tea, polite bows, and a small one-bedroom house at the edge of the fields. It had tatami floors, thin shoji doors, a cold little kitchen, and nothing else. No table. No bowls. No futon of their own. No kettle. No chair. For a few nights, they slept under borrowed quilts and ate from dishes loaned by the headman's wife. Every evening, after teaching children who came to school tired from farm chores, Aiko wrote down the things they still needed. On their second Sunday, they walked to the next village, where a family had laid old household items across straw mats outside a dark wooden house. It was not a cheerful sale. An old grandfather had died inside, and his family was selling what they could to help pay for his burial ceremony. Kenji wanted to leave, but Aiko touched his arm and said, "They need money, and we need things. Maybe this helps both of us." They bought bowls, a chipped kettle, and a small box for tea. Then they saw the rocking chair. It was made from bamboo, polished smooth by hand, with carved cranes and mountain grass along the arms. It was simple but beautiful. Whoever built it had loved it. The dead man's son looked away when Kenji asked the price. His wife answered quickly, almost too quickly. "Take it. Please take it today." That evening, the bamboo chair sat by the window of their empty house, facing the fields. Kenji lowered himself into it, and the chair creaked with a long, satisfied sigh. "This," he said, closing his eyes, "is the first thing here that feels like ours." Aiko smiled, but outside, beyond the rice fields, a crow called from the cedar trees. Then the chair rocked once, very slowly, though Kenji's feet were flat on the floor. At first, the sound was small enough to ignore. Late at night, after the village lanterns went dark, Kenji and Aiko heard the bamboo chair moving in the main room. It made a soft scraping sound against the tatami, back and forth, steady as breathing. Aiko sat up under the quilt. "Kenji, do you hear that?" He kept his voice calm, because he wanted her to feel safe. "A mouse. Mice do not rock chairs." "Then an old house," he said. "Old houses complain." In the morning, the chair stood exactly where they had left it. No footprints. No open window. Kenji inspected everything, then smiled too hard and said, "See nothing." But the noises kept coming. The kettle rattled when no fire burned beneath it. Bowls clicked inside the cupboard, one by one, as if someone was counting them in the dark. The kitchen tap turned on by itself, and water ran into the bucket until it overflowed across the floor. The shoji doors slid open at night, not all the way, only enough to make Aiko feel that someone was waiting on the other side. Each morning, Kenji and Aiko went to the schoolhouse exhausted. They taught reading, writing, and arithmetic with heavy eyes and trembling hands. The children noticed. Another teacher, Mr. Hayashi, noticed too. After class, he pulled Kenji aside and said quietly, "You and your wife look like you have not slept in a week." Kenji tried to laugh. "New teachers are always tired, Mr. Hayashi did not laugh. "Is it the house?" Aiko, who had been gathering books nearby, froze. The older teacher lowered his voice. "There is a woman in the lower village, Obaseo. People call her when a house remembers something it should have forgotten." Kenji looked embarrassed. "We are educated people." "Yes, Mr. Hayashi said. "That is why I am telling you before it gets worse." That night, the chair rocked from sunset until dawn. Back and forth, like an old man sitting by the window, waiting for someone to understand why he had not left. Obaseo arrived the next afternoon with a walking stick, a pouch of salt, and eyes that seemed to notice every breath the house took. She was in her 70s, small and bent, dressed in dark clothing that smelled faintly of smoke and dried herbs. She stepped inside, removed her sandals, and listened. Her gaze moved from the kitchen tap to the cupboard to the bedroom door, and finally to the bamboo rocking chair. "Where did you get this?" she asked. Kenji answered, "From the next village." "From a dead man's house," she said. Aiko's throat tightened. "How did you know?" Obaseo touched the carved arm of the chair with 2 fingers, then pulled her hand back. Because it has not finished belonging to someone, Kenji said, it is only furniture. The old woman turned toward him. Then sit in it. Kenji did not move. Obaseo walked through the rooms, sprinkling salt, murmuring under her breath. Near the tap, she paused and said, water has been called. The dead often repeat what comforted them, what angered them, or the last thing they wanted. She returned to the rocking chair and leaned close. Old father, she whispered, this is not your house. The room became cold. Aiko heard a breath come from inside the bamboo. Not wind, not floorboards. A tired, irritated breath, like someone had been disturbed from sleep. Obaseo straightened. A man is here. Stubborn, angry. Not evil yet, but grief can become cruel when it is trapped. The chair rocked once. Obaseo said she would return the next morning for a cleansing. Until then, they were not to shout, not to beg, and not to answer any voice in the dark. That night, the house went silent. Just before dawn, 3 slow knocks came from inside the bedroom wall. Kenji sat up, shaking. The knocks came again, lower this time, near the floor. Aiko whispered, do not answer. But Kenji, exhausted and ashamed of his fear, shouted, enough. Every shoji door slid open at once. The kitchen tap burst on. Bowls rattled like teeth. The rocking chair slammed forward and back, scratching the tatami. Then an old man's voice spoke from the empty seat. My hands, it said. My hands made it. Obaseo returned after sunrise with incense, paper strips, salt, rice, and a small bell. Mr. Hiyashi came with her, not because he wanted to see anything, but because he feared Kenji and Aiko might need help leaving the house. In daylight, the little home looked harmless. Sun warmed the tatami. Sparrows called from the roof. Women laughed faintly in the fields. For one brief moment, Aiko wanted to believe the night had been fear and poor sleep. Then Obaseo placed incense near the chair, and the smoke bent sideways toward the bamboo armrest. He is clinging, she said. The cleansing began softly. The old woman rang her bell and spoke with calm authority. Oh, Father, your life is ended. This house is not yours. These people are not your enemies. Follow the smoke and go to your ancestors. The chair rocked. Obaseo scattered salt over it. The chair slammed backward into the wall. Bowls flew from the cupboard and shattered. The kettle rolled through ash. The shoji doors opened and closed so fast the paper panels snapped like wings. Aiko ducked as a cup struck the wall above her head. Kenji pulled her close, but the doors slid shut before they could run. Then the voice filled the room. Mine. It came from the chair, the walls, the water bucket, and the broken dishes under their feet. Mine, mine, mine. Obaseo shouted, tell us what was taken. Everything stopped. In the silence, Aiko heard a sound from the chair that was not rage, but grief. It was a thin, shuddering sob. Obaseo lowered herself to her knees. You built it. The bamboo creaked. You wanted it sent with you. The chair rocked once. You were promised it would not be sold. Aiko remembered the dead man's son looking away. She remembered his wife saying, take it today. She understood then that the chair had not been unwanted. It had been sacrificed for money. Kenji whispered, his family sold what he wanted for his funeral. Obaseo nodded. His longing has wrapped around this chair. That is why he cannot go. Aiko faced the empty seat and bowed. Grandfather, we did not know. The chair turned slowly toward her. For one breath, the whole house seemed to weep. Knowing the truth did not make the haunting stop. For 3 days, Kenji and Aiko went to school afraid of what they would find when they returned. Every afternoon, the house was worse. The first day, their bowls were stacked upside down in the bedroom, each one filled with muddy water. The second day, their wedding photograph lay face down in the ash pit, marked with gray fingerprints. The third day, rice covered the tatami, the low table was overturned, and 3 wet characters ran down the wall. My chair. Aiko covered her mouth and began to cry. Kenji stood in the doorway, bruised by sleeplessness and shame. We bought it, he said, though his voice shook. We paid for it. The rocking chair moved. Aiko grabbed his sleeve. Kenji, please. But fear had sharpened him into anger. He stepped into the room and shouted, you are dead. We are alive. This is our home now. The chair flew at him. It lifted from the floor as if thrown by invisible hands and struck him in the chest. Kenji hit the tatami hard, gasping for air. Aiko screamed, while the chair settled back into place and began rocking gently. That evening, Obaseo came again. She looked at Kenji's bruised ribs, then sat across from the chair. "You cannot keep it," she said. Kenji whispered, "We understand." "No," she said. "You understand that it frightens you. You must understand that, to him, you are thieves." Aiko wiped her face. "Then what do? We return it in the only way left. We burn it with respect, with rice, incense, apology, and witness. The chair is not his soul, but his longing has tied itself to the bamboo. Fire can cut the rope." Before sunset, they wrapped the chair in plain white cloth. Mr. Hayashi brought wood. The headman allowed them to use the clearing beyond the fields. The village watched from their doorways, but did not follow. Kenji bowed to the wrapped chair. "I am sorry. We were proud of your work, and we did not ask whose heart was still inside it." The bamboo creaked beneath the cloth. Aiko whispered, "Grandfather, we will send it with you." From inside the chair came a small voice. "Mine." Aiko answered softly, "Yes, yours." They carried the chair to the clearing at dusk. Kenji walked in front, Mr. Hayashi behind him, Aiko beside them with incense, and Obaseo leading the way with her bell. The sky was purple over the cedars. The fields were quiet. Even the insects seemed to be waiting. They placed the wrapped chair on the woodpile. Aiko set rice beside it. Kenji struck a match. The flame went out. He struck another. That flame went out too. The cloth over the chair trembled, and the old man's voice rose from beneath it, weaker now, but still stubborn. "Mine." Aiko knelt in the dirt. "Yes, grandfather. It is yours. We are not taking it anymore. We are sending it with you." Kenji struck the third match. This time, the flame held. The fire caught slowly. First the white cloth darkened, then the bamboo began to pop and split, each crack sounding like old hands bending after years of work. Smoke curled upward, carrying the smell of grass, ash, incense, and rain-wet wood. Obaseo rang her bell, and this time the sound was clear. She told the old man that his work had been honored, that the chair had been returned with apology, witness, and respect. She told him to follow the smoke, to find the path beyond the fields, and to rest where no one could sell what belonged to him again. As the flames rose, Aiko saw a bent old figure in the smoke, with broad hands held close to his chest. She bowed until her forehead nearly touched the ground. "Your work was beautiful," she whispered. "I'm sorry we never knew your name." The smoke lifted. For one moment, the clearing went completely silent. Then, somewhere beyond the fire, the bamboo chair rocked one final time. Back, forth, and then nothing. After that night, the house became quiet. The tap stayed closed. The dishes stayed still. The shoji doors no longer opened by themselves. Kenji and Aiko slept until morning for the first time in weeks. Years later, when they had children of their own, Aiko still warned them about buying old things too cheaply after a funeral. "Some objects are only wood, bamboo, cloth, or iron," she would say, "but some are memory made solid, and memory does not always understand being sold." Kenji gave simpler advice. "If you can afford new," he would say, rubbing the place where the chair had struck his chest, "buy new." And sometimes, when rain touched the roof and wind moved through the bamboo outside, they heard a gentle rocking far away. Not angry anymore, just waiting to be remembered. Thank you for your support, and thank you for tuning into our stories. Some are fiction, and some are based on a true event. We would really appreciate it if you could like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for a new story every day.